Good day. Now, while there have been many AVP games that have let you play as a Colonial Marine, there have in fact been very few standalone Aliens games. The few that do exist are either movie tie-ins or have you playing as Ripley. But thankfully, as of October 11th, that has changed with the release of the appropriately named Aliens Infestation for the Nintendo DS. Now, is this the game us Alien fans have been long awaiting? Or do we have to wait even longer for Colonial Marines? Well, let's take a look at it and find out.
The game itself is a 2D side-scroller that features platforming elements as well as Metroid-style exploration. However, unlike in Metroid, you usually always know where to go and what to do when you get there. And when you explore off the beaten path, you are rewarded with new weapons and upgrade kits. Platforming in this game is really quite underplayed, and when you do have to do it, it's never really annoying. Most of the time, you're going to be hunting for keys and completing objectives. In addition to shooting things, there are also quick-time events as well. At last, the facehuggers don't get that cheap insta-kill. The game is not all about running to the right and killing everything in sight, as this game features a Metroid-style upgrade system in addition to the exploration. Some of the doors are welded, so you have to acquire a cutting torch. Some of the rooms don't have any working lights, so you have to get a shoulder lamp.
Now, this is a very minor logical issue. But really, have the Colonial Marines been hit by massive budget cuts to the point where they can't even equip their troops with basic supplies? In Aliens, all the Marines had shoulder lamps and IR goggles. In fact, one had a cutting torch and another had a motion tracker. But really, when budget cuts get handed down, the Marines always get it the worst.
The map system is also well designed, and everything is clearly marked and laid out, although many times you will have to blow open hatches to get around obstacles. And I know I'm not the only one who finds seeing the Sulaco's internal map awesome in and of itself. When you first start a level, you don't actually have any map data at all, which does make sense because you physically wouldn't have access to the blueprints yet. So one of the first things you do when you enter a new area is find a map room. And that is a really nice, logical touch. The controls for this game are also really quite good, and everything except turning around feels very fluid and fast. But turning around does feel really quite sluggish. You do have some controls on the touchscreen, and those work fairly well because most of the time you're only going to be using the touchscreen as a map. But when you reach a door where you have to use the cutting torch, the map will automatically minimize and the cutting torch will highlight. Now, the way you save in this game is also similar to Metroid. You have save rooms, but unlike in Metroid, these rooms are really quite useful, because when you go inside one, you heal and refill on ammo. Now in the game, you don't actually play as just one Marine. Instead, you get access to 4 Marines at any one time. And the developers did not just create one Marine model for the entire game. Instead, each Marine actually has a fairly distinct sprite. But what is even better is the fact that each Marine actually gets their own idle animation, and surprisingly enough, each Marine has their own distinct personality. The Marines themselves all play identical, but it's a nice artistic touch nonetheless. The Marines also act as lives. If you lose a Marine, you can immediately start playing from where you left off as another Marine, and throughout the game, when your Marines die, you can recruit new ones. Now, your Marines can survive getting taken down under certain circumstances, and you can rescue them. Aliens Infestation also improves on the standard side-scroller model a bit by allowing you to sprint and perform combat roles. The game also features a cover system. You can walk up to a box and press A and then you can blind fire. The graphics look really good on the DS. Everything is highly detailed and all of the textures really do look distinct. All of the animations are extremely fluid and the QuickTime event animations also look good as well. And all of the different weapons look different from one another and actually have differing reloading animations. Sound design is excellent. All the weapons sound like they should, and the smart gun actually sounds like it did in AVP 2. The Xenomorphs all pretty much sound like they did in Alien and Aliens. The music is also really quite good because it sounds highly similar to the Alien score, and it really does increase the tension quite well. The weapons in the game all work like they should, but one does deserve mention. The shotgun. If you can get this thing fully upgraded, it's the best weapon in the game. It can kill just about any enemy in one 1 to 2 hits. The Xenomorphs really do look good, and their animations just look beautiful. Also, like in Aliens, the Xenos can pop out almost at random, which can get really annoying really fast. Now later in the game, you begin to encounter new types of Xenomorphs, and this one here is the Gorilla Xenomorph, which was a type of Xenomorph seen as an action figure in the early 90s.
The story and presentation for Aliens Infestation is no less than a complete celebration of everything Aliens. I wouldn't be surprised if the developers of this game were super fans of Aliens, because they pretty much got everything right.
The story takes place right after Aliens, with the Colonial Marines investigating the derelict Sulaco. When the Marines arrive, they find no sign of life except for this cat. I really don't get why orange cats in the Aliens universe like to jump out and scare people so much. Eventually you find a dead body that is identified as a UPP soldier.
It was at this point, when I first played the game, that I had to nerd out for a few moments. Because the UPP was never mentioned in any of the comics, and of course, none of the films. Instead, it was mentioned in the very awesome first draft of Alien 3.
The original draft of the Alien 3 script was vastly different from that crap that we got. If that script had become a movie, it would have reinvented the Alien series, and would have catapulted Aliens to the stature of Star Wars. The script introduced new factions, which included the Union of Progressive Peoples, essentially the Soviet Union in space. The first mission has you going throughout the Sulaco in search of a single living human who is a part of the UPP boarding crew. The concept of the UPP finding the Sulaco first and getting slaughtered by Xenos comes straight from the first draft as well. The first enemies you fight are not Xenos at all, but rather combat androids that look quite a bit like Terminators. Eventually you do fight some Xenos and track down the UPP soldier named Eve, and when you do, you have to fight the Xenomorph Queen. And this is a fairly decent boss fight, although expect to lose at least one Marine. The second level has you traveling to LV-426 to stop the UPP from exploiting the Xenos, and you get to fight human UPP soldiers. This game already has reached tremendous levels of awesome. However, the battle can be somewhat annoying, because you generally want to take a slow and methodical approach, which means you're usually stuck behind a chest-high box trading shots with a UPP soldier, and this can get very tedious very fast. With a fully upgraded shotgun, however, you can kill them in one shot. After you blow up a few bits of the UPP base, you then get to fight in the APC. You can move the APC forward and backward with the D-pad, and you control the turret with the touchscreen. The controls actually work fairly well, but it's almost impossible to fight off all the Xenomorphs, as they are just far too numerous. Although I don't think you can actually die in this level, though, because this is one of those levels where you still crash in the end no matter what you do. And you happen to crash right in front of the Jockey ship, and you actually fight a Jockey alien. Never before have we seen a Jockey Xenomorph. We know that they can get parasiticized by facehuggers because we saw that a chestburster killed one in Alien, but none of the comics have dealt with a Jockey Xenomorph. He actually is a pretty tough boss, so expect to lose even more Marines. You fight through the Sulaco on several occasions, and the game even includes a smarmy company rep that does try to get you killed on several occasions. And you also get access to a power loader, and you can fight the Queen with it. But you don't actually kill her with it. Instead, you have to open up the airlock like Ripley did in Aliens. However, the sequence is quite a bit different. Look at all of these bloody switches. If Ripley had to do that in Aliens, she would have been dead several times over. Although, just the one would have been enough, I'd imagine. Eventually, you travel to the Martian moon of Phobos to investigate the loss of contact with a research station. You get to fight Xenos with a shotgun as a space marine on the Martian moon of Phobos.
Now, if you're an Aliens fan like me, you've probably already turned off this video and have run to go buy Aliens Infestation, because quite possibly this is the single greatest Aliens game ever made. At least until Colonial Marines comes out. This is also probably one of the best action exploration games on the DS in and of itself. And really, if Colonial Marines is only half as good as this game, then pretty much anyone's Xbox, PS3, or PC is going to explode from sheer awesomeness. So do I recommend this game? Well, it pretty much recommends itself. So, this is Generallotz wishing you good Aliens Infestation and good Aliens Colonial Marines, or whatever makes you happy.